Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you are a new subscriber, thank you very much for clicking. My name is Adaeze, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much for coming back. So today I'm just going to be taking you guys through the process that I took to create this beautiful plate of seafood okra. And first thing I'm going to do is just to walk you guys through the different ingredients that I have that's just going to make this soup come out tasting so beautiful. So just keep watching and let's get right cooking. Alright guys, so the first thing I have is kale. I don't really like a lot of vegetable in my okra soup, so I would not be using so much of it. Next I have red snapper. I just started liking this and it tastes really good and it tends to retain the spice that you use for cooking it. And then the next thing I'm going to be using for this soup is my shrimp. So these shrimps are already cooked shrimp, so I would not be cooking them for too long. And then I have, of course, I have my Maggi cubes, that's a star, and then I have my salt. Right here I have my bowl of okra. So I blended the okra because I honestly really hate cutting okra, so I prefer to just chop it up into big chunks and then just use my blender to just chop it up, and it comes out really good. Then I have my already cooked stockfish that I already went ahead and I pieces. And I have this fish that I got from the African store. It's called Bony fish. I've never really used it to cook, but my mom bought it for me, so I'm just gonna be trying it out for the first time. It looks really good and it tastes good just eating it. I have my dried prawns or dried crayfish. I don't know, you can call it whatever you want, but I call it dried prawns and it's pretty good. And then I have my pounded crayfish and pepper blend. I just like to pound my crayfish and pepper together. It just gives it a very nice taste. Of course I have my red oil, and then I have my onion, tomatoes and pepper blend that I'm going to be using for the soup. And of course, one more thing that we cannot forget is my crab. Lucky for me, this time around I was able to get bigger crab, so I'm going to be using all this crab for the soup. And it's already cleaned and washed, and I went ahead and I chopped it up and pieces it to the size that I wanted for the soup. So in a pan, the first thing I put is my red oil, of course, and I let that get hot for a little bit before I add in my onions. So I don't use a lot of onions for this soup because I don't really like that much onions in soup, so I only added a little bit of onions, and I just let that simmer till my onions got translucent before I added anything else. Now that my onions looks pretty cooked, I'm just gonna go ahead and add in some of my tomato blend. I didn't add in so much, and in the process of adding I figured that my oil was too much, so off camera I went ahead and I scooped out some of the oil that I added. So the next thing I'm going to be adding into my pot is half of my crayfish and pepper blend. I just like adding it at this point because I like the taste that the crayfish gives the tomato paste, and the aroma, honestly, it just makes it smell really good. So I just add it in at this point and I just stir them up together. While that seems to be boiling pretty good, I go ahead and I add in my bony fish that I already washed, and then I also add in my dried crayfish or dried prawns, whatever you call it. I just mix all of that together and I just let that cook. I like adding these in because they're still a little bit hard, so it just gives it enough time to cook, and it just adds that flavor to the fish, and when you eat it you can get the really good taste of the soup. I also go ahead and I add a little bit of salt at this point. So the next thing I add into my pot is my already steamed or already cooked stockfish. I really didn't cook the stockfish to be too soft, so I add it in right before I add my water. just so it can cook with all the other fish in the pot. And then this water that I'm putting in is the water that I use to cook the stockfish. Of course, it has all that stockfish taste and flavor, hence why I use it first before I add any more water. So as I'm cooking and I'm turning this around, I can see that I need a little more water, so I'm just going to add some water because I don't want the soup to have a lot of water inside. So I just added enough water that I think is going to be enough for the soup. I let that simmer for a little bit, and then the next thing I'm going to be adding is my fish. I just want this fish to cook, and I'm going to take it out later, but right now I want it to cook because I needed to get the stock and the spice from the soup. So I'm going to add it in to cook, and then I'm also going to add in my crabs. So the reason why I use this big pot is because I wanted everything to have enough space to sit properly. So you can see that the fish has enough space to fit into the pot, and the crabs have enough space to cook too, so nothing is going to break. I don't really want the fish to pieces into the soup, so everything has enough space of its own to stay and cook. Lastly, before I cover up my pot, I'm just going to go ahead and just add in my already cooked shrimps, and I'm just going to make sure that everything is sitting balanced where it can actually cook properly in the pot before I go ahead and I cover and I let it steam for a while. So at this point, my fish is about cooked, and I'm just going to go ahead and take it out of the pot. That I have enough space, I'm just gonna stir everything around, and the next thing I'm gonna add is my okra. So I'm adding this okra in bits because I don't want to put too much, and I want to make sure I have enough stock for it. So I'm just gonna add it bit by bit. I'm gonna put the first part in and then stir it, and if I need some more, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more. I think I need some more okra into the soup, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add the remaining okra that I have in a bowl. I added everything. Just gonna give everything a good stir. Make sure everything all the okra gets like mixed into the pot and everything just combines together. next I'm going to just add in the remaining bit of my pounded crayfish and peppers. I'm going to put in some salt, and I'm also going to add in some stock cubes. I also added in some chili powder because of course okra soup is supposed to be spicy, so I added in some more pepper just to give it that spice. Mixing everything together, I'm going to just add in my vegetables at this point. I just added in a little bit of vegetables. Like I said earlier, I don't really like a lot of vegetables in my okra soup, so I'm not adding so much. Give it a good stir to make sure the vegetables don't clump up together. Make sure it's all like So I know the whole time of cooking, after putting the okra, I didn't close the pot back, but my mom always said to never close the pots after we put in the okra, so the okra draws. So now at this point, I'm just putting in my fish, and I just put it back in. As you can see, some of it's kind of pieces when I first put it in the pot because I wasn't really paying attention to it, but it still looks good. So I'm just gonna add my fish, and of course I'm gonna put in that stock that came with the fish because it's part of the stock for the soup, and I'm just gonna stir it very carefully so I don't pieces my fish. But that's it, guys, my soup is ready. I'm going to just let it steam for about a minute or two, and then I'm just going to go ahead and serve myself. So the soup is ready. So if you were not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is totally free, and if you're already subscribed, thank you very much for coming back over and over again. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like this video, and I will see you guys in my next video.